They say dreams don't belong to the rich, they belong to the brave. In a small, dusty village, a boy named Rayan walked barefoot along the cracked roads every morning, carrying nothing but a notebook full of ideas. His pockets were empty, but his eyes, burning with hope, saw something greater than his poverty. One morning, while selling tea near the railway station, Rayan overheard a group of city businessmen laughing about how poor people can never dream big. That laughter hit him like a spark on dry wood. That night, under a flickering bulb, he wrote just one line in his notebook. "Someday they'll talk about me too." Rayan didn't have money, books, or guidance, but he had curiosity. Every evening, he would sneak behind a cyber cafe, listening to online business classes through the open window. He couldn't afford a computer, so he'd draw diagrams of websites and write business plans on scraps of old newspapers. His friends mocked him. "Dreams don't fill stomachs," they said. Rayan smiled and replied, "Maybe not today, but they'll feed thousands tomorrow." One rainy afternoon, Rayan met an old man sitting under the tea stall shed. The man wore a faded suit and had sharp, wise eyes. "Why so sad, boy?" he asked. "I'm trying to learn, but life doesn't give me a chance," Rayan sighed. The old man smiled. "You don't need a chance. You create one." Those words struck deep. The man left before Rayan could ask his name, but he left behind a torn visiting card that read, "Think big, start small, move fast." That night, Rayan decided to act. He collected discarded plastic bottles from around the station and started cleaning and selling them as eco-friendly containers. People laughed again. Who buys trash? But he stayed silent. By the end of the first week, he earned his first few hundred rupees. For him, it wasn't money. It was proof that thinking big works when you start small. Months passed. Rayan's small recycling idea began to grow. He convinced local shopkeepers to use his containers instead of plastic bags. Slowly, his name spread through the town. That boy with empty pockets is changing things. But not everyone liked his rise. Some competitors tried to shut him down. Still, Rayan told himself, "If my dream scares people, it means it's big enough." The setback. One morning, a storm destroyed Rayan's small shed where he stored his containers. Everything washed away in the flood. He sat in the rain, drenched and defeated. For the first time, he thought of quitting. But then, he saw his notebook floating in the muddy water, the page still visible. "Someday they'll talk about me too." He smiled through tears and whispered, "Not yet."
With borrowed tools and a broken spirit, Rayan rebuilt everything from scratch. He used social media on a borrowed phone to tell people his story, how he started with nothing. That post went viral. People from nearby towns came forward to help. One man offered him space for free, another donated materials. Rayan realized something powerful. When you refuse to give up, the world starts helping you. The unexpected call. Weeks later, Rayan received a call from the city. A businessman wanted to partner with him for large-scale recycling. It was the same man who had once mocked him at the railway station. Rayan paused, smiled, and said, "Sir, I'm ready to talk. But this time, let's talk as equals." Rayan arrived in the city with a small bag in his dream. Towering buildings surrounded him, but he wasn't intimidated. He presented his idea to investors, a full plan for sustainable packaging. When they asked, "How did you learn all this without school?" he replied, "By listening through windows." The room fell silent. Then applause filled the hall. His idea became a company, EcoRays. From a poor village boy, he became a young entrepreneur known for changing waste into worth. When the news channels came to interview him, he stood in front of the same railway station where it all began and said, "Empty pockets can't stop big dreams. Small thinking can." Rayan returned to his village not with pride but gratitude. He built a small school for children who couldn't afford education and named it the Window School, inspired by how he learned through one. He taught them, you don't need money to dream. You need courage to start. Years later, when a reporter asked him, "What's your secret?" Rayan smiled and said, "The secret is simple. Your thoughts shape your world. Think small, stay small. Think big and the world expands before you." He looked into the camera and added, "I had empty pockets, but a mind full of dreams. That's all the power I ever needed."